25th at 7:30 p.m. Ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week. They confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Good morning. Welcome to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish. The NBA Finals has taken a turn in the favor of the Oklahoma City Thunder. We're one win away from crowning an NBA champion. Also one win away from an NHL champion. That could happen tonight in Sunrise. Jo Madden will join us later in the show to preview everything happening in the Stanley Cup Finals. Also, Chris Altruda joins us. We'll talk about the state of Illinois, some taxes in sports betting as well. Some special guests also along the way, including Joe. And also we will get into the latest going on in Major League Baseball as well. Adam Kaufman, Gilbert McGregor will be along for the ride today. But let's get started in the NBA Finals. It's a win for Oklahoma City and one win away from an NBA championship. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 31 points, the star of the game. Jalen Williams, 40 points last night for the Thunder. Tough night for Tyrese Halliburton. He's got a leg injury. We'll get into that in just a minute. 4 points on the game, but how about that teams win Game 5 of the NBA Finals, usually win the championship 74% of the time approximately. So we'll see what happens as the series now shifts back to an Indiana Pacers home location where they've been so dangerous all season long. They're going to have to win that game. But before we get to that, let's get to SGA, who talked about the team playing much better at home this go around.
What'd you make of the offensive flow that you guys had tonight? Assists on more than half your baskets and 120 points.
Yeah, it was for sure better. Ball moved a little bit more. We were more aggressive. We were in the paint, making decisions. Yeah, we were good.
Barry in the middle. Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. 2 straight games, dubs come up huge. How much is your job easier when he's playing like this? And for all I know, he's going to keep playing like this the rest of his career. How much does that make things easier on you?
A lot easier. Not only for myself, but for the rest of the guys. He can shoulder a load. I've said this before. He does so many things for us as a basketball team on both ends of the floor when he's the best version of himself. But yeah, like you said, he was great tonight. Makes the world of a difference when he's that good for sure.
Great force. I mean, that's the word. And we've used that word with him in his development. And when he's at his best, he's playing with that type of force. And that was an unbelievable performance by him just throughout the whole game. I mean, he really was on the gas the entire night, applied a ton of pressure, thought he made a lot of the right plays. And we're going to need a similar type of approach in Game 6 from him.
Big question for the Pacers now going back home is, will Tyrese Halliburton be 100% for the deciding game after struggling in last night's game with an injury? Here's Rick Carlisle after the game on his status.
He's not 100%. It's pretty clear. But I don't think he's going to miss the next game. And, we were concerned at halftime, and he insisted on playing. And I thought he made a lot of really good things happen in the second half, but he's not 100%, and there's a lot of guys in this series that aren't. So,
it's NBA Finals. It's the finals, man. I've worked my whole life to be here, and I want to be out there to compete. Help my teammates any way I can. I was not great tonight by any means, but it's not really a thought of mine to not play here. If I can, walk, then I want to play. So, they understand that, and is what it is, and got to be ready to go for Game 6.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think, we even with the game that we had, we still put ourselves in the position at that point. We got to take care of that, rebounding or, just those 50-50 balls. Like, just we gotta come up with it. Just that fast, it kind of like went away from us. But I thought, the fight was there. We continued to fight no matter what, and we gave ourselves a chance until, we made some mistakes there.
College World Series stealing highlights last night. One player in particular, Gage Wood of the Arkansas Razorbacks, strikes out 16 and throws the third no-hitter in College World Series history, the first since 1960. Wood giving credit to his coaches and clearly his performance.
19, sorry. But the 18th one came against Connor Cunningham out of Batesville High School in Arkansas. I was wondering if you could describe your relationship with him. And also, please, if you include him in the answer, can you pronounce your high school coach's name?
My high school coach name was Kelly Rush. But Connor, he transferred to Batesville the year after I graduated, so I didn't get to play with him. But the past couple of years in the off season, since he's went to college, he comes in and plays catch with me every day that I need to play catch. He works out with me. He stands in on bullpens, like gives me feedback. So, when I'm home, there's not much in Batesville, if y'all don't know that. I think there's 10, 11,000 people there, so there's no nice place for me to go throw on a track man or with these other college guys. It's me and him. So, he helps a lot when I'm home, so I wanted to go tell him that I loved him. I'd see him in the off season and to keep working, and that I was proud of him for making it here for the first time, and it's my first time too, and he's just a freshman, so who knows where he'll end up.
Over to Major League Baseball, the headline, stole again by Shohei Ohtani, who pitched yesterday. He was okay, 1 inning. He also drove in 2 runs at the plate. Oh, how fast did he throw? Well, averaged 96.8 miles an hour in his first start. Also hit 100 at different points. Showtime once again in Los Angeles. Here's Dave Roberts on the MVP.
I thought it was great. Obviously, we gave up a run, but I thought the stuff was really good. Much better as far as the fastball velocity than I think anyone anticipated. Hit 100. I was thinking 95 to 97, but I think that just a competitor adrenaline came out in him. And they built an inning. I thought he made some really competitive pitches, but overall, just really positive day for us. And today I don't think it affected his offense, and like I said before the game, tomorrow we'll be telling to see how it feels as far as fatigue, but I thought overall pretty exciting.
Where was he as far as his limit? Was he getting close to his pitch limit?
I wasn't going to push him past 30, so Bogarts was going to be his last hitter.
Looks like a couple innings will be Ohtani's next start. Maybe that'll come either Sunday or next week. Meanwhile, first home run hit for Red Sox prospect Roman Anthony in the Roman Anthony era, of course, with Devers playing in San Francisco. They're going to need a lot more of that. 2-0 the final. How about that? Boston goes on the road, wins 2-0. Very, very impressive Lucas Giolito start. He struck out 10. Here's Anthony on hitting the home run and getting the baseball.
It was awesome. It was even better that, we got a great win there, so it was great.
Do you have a place that you keep certain, like, home run balls, like milestone balls, or where are you going to put it?
No, I usually just give them to my parents and kind of let them do the work. And they'll do the whole framing and everything. So I'll give it to them for sure. I don't know. I think it went right into that little tunnel, so I don't think I didn't have to do anything. No, so it was great. Yeah. Good placement. Yeah.
Just batting third tonight too. Kind of cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. Hitting anywhere in this lineup's fun. Let alone batting third. So, credit to AC and the staff for trusting me there. And it's great. We're rolling right now. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, it's great to get a great team win.
Right now, team wins are what the Angels are doing. They beat the New York Yankees 1-0. All kinds of good pitching in that game. Yankees struggling to score over the last week. And last night, Nick Kurtz hit a walk-off home run, 2-run shot to beat the Astros in Sacramento. Final score 3-1. Oklahoma City, 1 win away from an NBA championship. Is the series over? Gilbert McGregor will join us next to discuss. Don't go away. Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say, yeah, I buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to bat 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. I'm Craig Mish, joined by Gilbert McGregor of Sporting News. Gilbert, of course, watching intensely into the NBA Finals game last night. Could be the second to last game of the season if the Thunder have their way. Gilbert, great to have you back here on NewsWire as OKC ends up winning. Pretty convincing, and really the bottom line was, if Jalen Williams is going to put another 40 spot up in the next game, they're going to win the championship. But I think more so, Gilbert, in thinking this really through, I mean, if I know Indiana's deep, but if Tyrese Halliburton is playing at 50%, I mean, the series is a wrap. I mean, even if he doesn't go off for like 25 or 10 or anything like that, I mean, I think he's got to have a major factor on the court. And from watching Rick Carlisle last night, I'm not sure that he will.
Yeah, it's tough. And I understand where Tyrese Halliburton is coming from. It's the NBA Finals. You want to be available for your team, but at a certain point, you're starting to be a detriment to your team. And it seems like he just was not himself. He had that calf injury earlier in the game, and it impacted his approach for the remainder of the game. And not to go as far as to say they were playing 4-on-5, but he just could not be himself. And we saw TJ McConnell get the Pacers out of that hole, but when they brought the starters back in, they fell right back into it. So hopefully he has these 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday, to rest and get back to himself, because as you said, if he's at 50%, they have no chance. But if he can get back to 75, 80% and get some points on the board, make some field goals, then it makes a little bit of a difference. But the fact that he only scored 4 points from the free throw line in Game 5 was basically the reason why they had to guard them a certain way, and he couldn't do much.
Yeah, the Thunder now have moved back to 1,600 odds to win the championship. I mean, they've just got to win one of the next two. You can get 9-1 now if you think Indiana can pull this off. I guess, Gilbert, how can we get sold here on Indiana winning and going to Game 7? I mean, you can always sell me on a spread, but man, knowing that Halliburton is like this, I mean, can Mathurin step up? Can someone else step up in sort of not his absence, but just adding to the offense?
I mean, Pascal Siakam was great last night, and it wasn't enough, obviously, again, because Halliburton wasn't there. And I think the one thing that you can kind of lean on is, okay, they go back home. They have a great home crowd, and role players always step up. So will that depth come into play? What we saw from them in Game 3, Mathurin has had some down games since going off in Game 3 and kind of breaking out. And that happens with a young player, but can he get back on track? And can Andrew Nembhard have a big game? Because if he gets the point guard duties from the beginning and they have Tyrese Halliburton playing off the ball, maybe that's the adjustment that we see. But ultimately, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the Thunder have figured it out. I think they have the momentum, especially winning 2 games in a row in this series. Finding a way to win in Indiana, they know how to do it now. So I fully expect the Thunder to take care of this in Game 6. But what we've learned from this Pacers team is when you think they're down, they're never out. And I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way, somehow, some way to make it interesting in Game 6.
So as soon as the season ends, Gilbert, we're going to be talking draft, of course. We're coming up on Cooper Flag season, and we're also coming up on free agent season, which is arguably more popular than the regular season of the NBA. So let's dive into maybe a couple of topics here as we get ready to put a bow on the NBA Finals. Next story will be the future of Kevin Durant, the Hall of Famer, who it can still play and can still play at a high level. There seems to be a lot of discussion that Phoenix is headed in another direction and they may end up trading him. He wanted to go to New York, apparently, during the season. The Knicks didn't want to make that happen. Durant is going to end up playing on, I don't know, is this the 5th team or the 6th team? I can't even keep up at this point. I know Miami is in the mix. The Spurs are an up-and-coming team. They could be in the mix too. The most intriguing name to me was Houston, just because I feel like Houston, after having such a good regular season, felt like they were one Durant away from making a run in the postseason. So he's going to probably get moved. Gilbert, do you have a sense as to which team? I know the Heat probably wants him more than anybody else. I just don't know if he's going to end there.
It's an interesting market for him right now because this guy's going to be 37 years old, but he's still one of the all-time greats and played at an all-NBA level last year. He's just had issues with injuries, and that happens with older players in this league. And it seems like those 3 teams that are up there are the teams that he wants to find himself in. He wants to be in Texas. He wants to be in Florida. The fact that the interesting situation with him wanting to be in New York and New York not wanting them is interesting to me. But I think the dark horse, and I read something today that said that the Timberwolves should be looked at as a dark horse. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get Kevin Durant, but the thing is, Kevin Durant has to want to go there. And right now, he does not want any parts of that Timberwolves organization. I wonder if it's going to get a little bit messy between he and the Suns. I think the Suns are trying to do right by him right now and send him where he wants to go. But ultimately, it's a business, and the Suns have to get what they feel is worthwhile for trading Kevin Durant. So if the Timberwolves put together the best deal and these other teams are just kind of not doing enough, then maybe they get a third team involved, or maybe Kevin Durant ends up getting sent where he doesn't want to go. The thing to keep an eye out on, he only has 1 year left on his deal. So it's a risk for a place who, if he doesn't want to actually be there, he could leave after this next season. So I'm really interested to see how it unfolds. I think that San Antonio would be the most fun fit, the most interesting fit. I think they will ultimately make it work, but it might drag out a little bit.
Yeah, that feels fair. There was another trade over the weekend, Gilbert. It doesn't usually happen like this during the NBA Finals, but I saw the Orlando Magic and Memphis Grizzlies made a deal. Most folks think that this makes the Magic better. Does it give them a significant bump?
I do. I think so. And I think parting ways with 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane seems like a lot on the surface. But this is a guy who shot 39% from 3 last year, and he answers the Magic's biggest need. They've needed shooting since I don't know when, but it's been a while, and they haven't shot the ball well. He shoots extremely well, especially catch and shoot. And now you have 2 playmaking forwards in Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero who can create for Desmond Bane. He can also be a playmaker as well. He was really good in Memphis. I'm also interested in what this means for Memphis. Are they signifying that they're going to blow things up a little bit, or is this a move that's a precursor for other moves now that they've stockpiled some draft capital? So I'm really interested to see what it means, but I think it's big for Orlando because we've talked about it before. The Eastern Conference is really wide open. The Pacers are going to be the favorite maybe next year based on how they played this year, but there are flaws in New York, there's flaws in Boston, which are injury related. So a lot of question marks in the Eastern Conference. I think the Magic saw an opportunity to take a jump on an opening and maybe move into the top upper echelon of the Eastern Conference.
All right. Well, Gilbert, we'll see this week how the finals ends up. I'm sure we'll talk again before this anticlimactic NBA draft begins. Everybody knows who the first pick is going to be. I guess there could be some drama after that, so we'll dive in. Gilbert, enjoy the game tomorrow night. We'll dive in again to the NBA finals as it continues. Thanks again.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
All right, Gilbert McGregor from Sporting News. Picked OKC at the beginning. I guess that's the way it's going to go in 6. Right? Looks like that's the deal. All right, coming up next, Chris Altruda is going to join us from Third Planet Media. We're going to go through everything happening in the world of sports betting, very specifically all of the news surrounding the state of Illinois and taxes in sports betting. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid. We'll be right back talking sports wagering after this. Dialing it back to his old days with St. Louis and Arizona. Buy or sell, Goldie will finish top 7 in fantasy first baseman.
No, I'm going to say no. I think he'll fall off. Older player here, he'll be top 10, but not top 7 here. Top 10, I would say I'd buy it. Top 7, I'm going to say no here. I think he'll put up decent numbers here. Not as good as he was. I don't think he's going to back 340, 350 all year long.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee's going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Every 5 days, it's really exciting when Skeens pitches, and it's terrible watching him pitch because every time he pitches, they don't score.
Having him hit the lineup probably would actually help when he pitches. There's no way to do it because you can't, but yeah, it's beyond frustrating. And the numbers will tell you, the books have adjusted.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Chris Altruda is with us from Third Planet Media to talk some sports wagering. There are 2 very big hot topics in the world of sports betting that I have a feeling the next 6 months we're going to be dominated by. So let's get to them. Chris, thanks for coming on NewsWire again. It's great to talk to you here. So the first one is, of course, taxes on sports betting. The state of Illinois says we want more money on sports betting. And the betting operators say, well, if you want more money, then we have to do something to offset that money, which is charge our user base more money too. So Chris, the question has to be asked: is the state of Illinois the first of many states to go through this? Meaning the states decide to tax more, and the operators decide to put their hand in the cookie jar as well.
I think this specific surcharge is as a novel tax. I think it's difficult to see this spread because specifically it's a novel tax. It's something that you would have to put into legislature and go through various machinations in your various assembly chamber, Senate chamber, and things along those lines. It's a lot more difficult than, say, amending your state tax rate, which Maryland did this year or will do shortly, from 15% to 20%. So I think this one is a little more difficult to see spreading to other states when a lot of states don't have rates as high as Illinois, where they still have that window where they can maybe push it up 5 points or maybe even 10 points based on their needs.
I think that, if I look for it, a little bit deeper into it, Chris, do you feel that DraftKings and FanDuel are asking too much? I mean, it's hard to take one stance or the other here, but it seems to me they wouldn't have asked for an extra 25 cents or 50 cents based on bets if the state hadn't done this. So do you think that they are within their right to ask for this as well?
Specific to Illinois, and this is the second straight year where there has been an adjustment to sports betting taxes. Last year, they went from a flat 15% rate to a progressively tiered rate that has a floor of 20% and a ceiling of 40%. DraftKings and FanDuel, based on their popularity and their performance, are the only operators that will hit that 40% tier during the fiscal year. And they have done so. They did so in December. So they have essentially been paying the max rate for 6 months. So now you look at this bill with this surcharge, with the threshold of going to a higher rate at 20 million wagers. Again, who are the only operators that are definitely going to hit this? It's FanDuel and DraftKings. And not only are they going to hit it, they're going to hit it early. The fiscal year starts July 1st. They likely hit the 20 million threshold by mid-September when the NFL season starts. Mm-hmm. These are operators that take in 8 figures worth of bets per month once you get to football season and through into April. So again, they're going to be disproportionately paying the bulk of the total fees that the state collects. So in this instance, I think it's fair for them. I mean, it's not ideal. You don't win any public points. You don't win any optics races with this. But I think it's a legit counter based on what the state is asking of them.
So now let's move to the next story here, which I think is so fascinating to see this company Kalshi and all these other prediction markets that come out that say, we're not sports betting. You can just put money down on our site to make predictions. All of a sudden, the sports betting universe is in uproar. How can they allow this to happen? It is not legal. We go from that to hearing that, hey, maybe FanDuel will get involved with this company too. What will this mean for the United States sports betting and prediction markets?
I think one of the things, and FanDuel is an interesting case study in this, because FanDuel was the first mover to market for same-game parlays. And that became a difference maker for them in terms of their hold rate going higher, faster, and collecting more revenue. Now, if you really wanted to play hardball as FanDuel, and I'm not saying they would ever do this, but specific to Illinois, you could say, hey, we're going to drop our single event wagering markets, and the only thing we're going to give you are parlays, because why should we shoulder this burden with this surcharge when we're going to do single event wagering, have a lower hold, get less revenue out of it, but also pay this surcharge? So there's an interesting dynamic here. I don't know whether or not Flutter is going to make this, carry through this bluff with Kalshi, but it does present an interesting dynamic where Flutter can explore it and possibly say, hey, we don't have to do this if we don't want to, if you're going to continue to do this. So the Illinois government has its veto session, which will be late summer into the fall, that the surcharge is September 1st. So you still have this runway where you can possibly turn it down, but it remains to be seen whether or not you'll get there.
Chris, as always, great stuff. Thanks for coming on NewsWire. Thanks for all the news.
Craig, appreciate you having me. Thank you.
We'll come back next and talk some NBA with Adam Kaufman right after the break.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. We got Adam Kaufman in the house talking NBA Finals. For how much longer? I don't know. I mean, I guess that is the question here as Oklahoma City dismantles the Indiana Pacers last night. Thought it could be close for a while. Adam, great to have you back here on NewsWire. I made the case earlier. We had Gilbert McGregor on from Sporting News that, my confidence level, and we'll look at the spread and all that for the next game, my confidence level would have still been high that Indiana maybe could have kept things close. I'm really worried, though, that Tyrese Halliburton is hurt more than we're learning here. I mean, I'm watching a press conference from Rick Carlisle, basically with him saying, "Oh no, he's not going to sit." I mean, for him to just come out and say that immediately. I mean, you've been doing this a long time, Adam. That means the guy is really hurt. I don't know how the Pacers. I think they could cover. I don't know how they could beat Oklahoma City without him being 80%, 90%.
Yeah, I appreciate Carlisle doing the whole he's not 100%, but nobody is at this stage of the season, or Halliburton saying, if I can walk, I can play. These are the things that you want to hear. And the gamerism of it, if you will, I appreciate. But the fact of the matter is, to your point, if you don't have a healthy or pretty damn close to it Tyrese Halliburton, you're just not going to win. I mean, you can look at the numbers, and, you think of Tyrese Halliburton more than anything else as, a points plus assist guy, or a facilitator, or a playmaker, someone that the offense can run through, and then he'll show up late with some of those big moments, game-winning shots in every series so far here in the postseason. But I'll just give you a basic number, Craig. How about this? 20 points. In the postseason, the Pacers are 6-7 when Tyrese Halliburton has 20 points or fewer. When he doesn't exceed 20 points, the team is 0-8. 0-8. There's only so much you're getting, obviously, out of Pascal Siakam, out of Miles Turner, Aaron Nesmith with his moments, Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, these contributors off the bench who I do think, especially at home where role players historically tend to thrive and have in this series, I think they're going to be better there in a must-win Game 6 for Indiana. But if you are not getting a representative performance, as they did not last night in OKC, out of Halliburton, you can't win. This isn't about covering the number, and certainly they don't care in that locker room about covering the number. They care about extending their season to a Game 7. I don't see how it happens unless either Halliburton is not as banged up as we are all led to believe he is, or if he can, fight through it a la some sort of a Jordan flu game kind of thing.
Sure.
or Siakam goes crazy and drops 40 plus. But, short of that, I just don't see it. The Thunder are too deep, too connected, too healthy, too, getting just the great performances out of SGA and obviously Jalen Williams now. They're too much. They are too much for the Pacers to withstand.
What's sad is that there are some people watching that are like, Jordan flu game. What are they even talking about? It goes back a while, but remember watching it live. But yes, it does go back.
I didn't say Willis Reed.
I did not watch that one live, but I am aware of it.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm going to run through some of the props from last night. SGA went under. Jalen Williams was the big one. He went over. I should say Siakam too is the big one too. I mean, Siakam's number for the next game, I think is going to be much higher than 18.5. He went 28 points. Miles Turner had 13. You see Halliburton there, as Adam put it. They just don't win when he doesn't have a big game. So Oklahoma City is 5-point favorites. Let's show everyone that. Total 224. I said the game was tomorrow night. Silly me. It is Thursday. I should just do silly me with these NBA finals. They stretch these out as far as they can. So we got to wait another 2 days.
Travel days.
Yeah, 2 days. 2 days of travel. Crazy. So I don't know. I feel like I'm going to take Indiana again. I feel like I'm going to take the points here and just, hope for a close game. It's where my heart is, really. I just don't know if that's going to happen.
So a couple things. One, we've got the props out for game 6. Siakam is sitting at 20.5, which is a number I would still be very tempted to go over on. It didn't jump all that much, especially when you consider the Halliburton factors we just talked about, and that the offense really is seemingly going to have to run through Siakam on the inside. As far as the spread, there are going to be a lot of people tempted to take Oklahoma City, figuring, look at Halliburton. They're going to steamroll them. They're going to win by 15, 20 points. And look, that may happen. I feel like I'm going to approach this game, though, the same way I did the most recent one, which is, that was a different spread. It was 9.5. And the Thunder, as we know, barely covered it. I didn't want to get involved in that. I didn't have a strong feeling on it. What I felt strongly about was that the Thunder were going to have a really good first half. I like the -3.5 in the first quarter. I like the -5.5 in the first half. And I like them to get out to a quick start and balloon that Indiana line just enough to where there was a logical buy point. You could say, hey, the Pacers, they're resilient. They're pesky. They're not going to just turtle. They're not going to go away. I bought in when it was 14.5, I think it was, maybe 16.5. Obviously, didn't need to get all the way to that point, but Indiana, again, it shows resolve. It shows resiliency. So, I don't know that we're going to get all the way to that number necessarily, but I would probably approach this game live the same way. Figure, okay, if the Thunder get off to a decent enough start, we can get the Pacers, closer to double figures at home, and then assume that they can keep it tight toward the end. Maybe they lose by 8. As opposed to 18 or something like that. I think that makes more sense to me in terms of how I'll approach it.
I think that's fair. All right, so we have nothing to bet on the current board, so I'm going to play a little game with you, Adam, here. I know you love to play games here on the show. This is how we're going to do it, okay? So let's show the odds to win the Finals MVP first. Let's do this, okay? All right, so everyone knows SGA is -550. There's really nothing bettable here. So, Adam Kaufman, Game 6 in Indiana. Oklahoma City wins by 9. Jalen Williams has 47 points. SGA has 22. Who's the NBA MVP?
So it's a great question, and I was talking about Jalen Williams MVP on Twitter last night because I was encouraging him pre-series when it was 35-1 or whatever the number was, pretty close to it. And now, like you just showed, 7-1. I still think if SGA goes out and has, what you're talking about, but, we're not filling out the box score, right? Like he has those, whatever you said, 22 points, but he also has 10 assists again, like he did yesterday. Then, I think there's still, the voters are still going to look at it and say, it's SGA. But man, Jalen Williams is making a hell of a case right now. And if he does, balloon for, like you said, 47, goes 45-50 in back-to-back games and, breaks a tie series and turns it into a 4-2 Oklahoma City win, stranger things have happened. Jaylen Brown was the NBA Finals MVP last year, not Jason Tatum. Pascal Siakam was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP this year, not Tyrese Halliburton. We had this conversation pre-series. There was value in betting Jalen Williams, who at the time was fourth on the board behind SGA, Halliburton, Siakam, and I still think he's got a chance to steal it. But yeah, it would have to be a pretty emphatic finish to Game 6.
I think all those things that I just mentioned have to happen. And Adam, now that I'm thinking it through a little bit more, I think the 9-point win, if it's Oklahoma City, I think he doesn't win it. I think he's got to hit the game-winning shot. I think that's what it is. It's got to be like a something and a game winner to win the championship. And then at that point, you could really make the case.
What choice do you have, right?
Right. I think he's got to be the one to put the nail in the coffin. Anyway. All right, Adam, have a great rest of your day, and thanks for coming on NewsWire. I really appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
All right, coming up next, we'll see if we can take one more shot to get Jo Madden to change her finals pick in hockey. This is it. Last shot tonight. Panthers at home against the Oilers. You're watching NewsWire on SportsGrid. We'll take a quick time out, and after we come back, we'll tell you more about the Stanley Cup Finals. You can also download the SportsGrid app, which is available on iOS and Android. Live watching our show, along with live coverage of all the games from a sports betting perspective. It is the Sports app. Take out your phone, scan that QR code. How many times we said that in the last few years? The QR codes are here to stay. We'll be back with more NewsWire on SportsGrid right after this.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
The Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy, who had such a good training camp last year, and it looked like he was pretty good, I believe, in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken, ended up going down for the full year. The Vikings are still obviously committed to him.
They knew that McCarthy was going to be available at some point in June. And McCarthy actually went on record last week and confirmed 2 weeks ago he was cleared medically. He did work last week. And he's going to be their starter.
NewsWire, only on SportsGrid.
I'm with you in that you're going to have to take calculated risks. And that's what Leon Rose has been about since he's been here. And he's been measured. He hasn't been gung-ho in terms of mortgaging this franchise's future for immediate gains. They have had a prudent approach, and you're going to have to roll the dice in certain respects to get to that top level. And you're right, Donnie, when you look at next season, all things considered, you hope that they're healthy, and if they roll over, say, 85 to 90% of this roster, this is a top 3 team in the East. With Boston coming down, you know Milwaukee is going to come down, and so you have to figure it's going to be Indiana, the Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers in some sort of order in the preseason rankings. And so where they go from here, Jason Kidd is obviously the hot name right now. Things both sides are interested from what we've heard in terms of Kidd and the New York Knicks. Is he that championship caliber coach to take the Knicks there?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. Is this the final day of the NHL season? Let's bring in Jo Madden to break it all down. Stanley Cup Finals tonight, Game 6. It's been an awesome battle between these two teams now 2 years in a row, and the question is, are we going to get a Game 7 2 years in a row? Let's ask Jo. Jo, here we go. This is it. The Panthers are as big a favorite as they have been in a game in a couple of weeks. Minus 150 to win the cup tonight. The total is 6.5 in Sunrise. Remember last year they were big favorites too, fell apart for 3 games, and then Edmonton came back, tied it. We went to 7. It was super exciting. Are we going to get that tonight, or are they going to raise the cup in Sunrise?
You know, after watching game 5 out there, how uninspired the Edmonton Oilers were out there on the ice, I just can't see them having a fighting chance here in Florida to be able to push this to game number 7. I do think the Florida Panthers close it out tonight, and I think they close it out in a big way. I'm looking at them on that puck line, laying 1.5 goals coming in at plus 152. I think this is a 4-2 style win for the Florida Panthers. Edmonton is going to try their best, but you look at this team, they can't even decide on which goaltender to start. They went to Calvin Pickard in the last game, which I do think was a huge mistake, not starting a Stuart Skinner. And you've got 2 inconsistent goaltenders out there, and you just haven't seen that step up by Connor McDavid. Even though you did see the goal in the last game, he just hasn't looked like himself in this series.
So what the Panthers are trying to do, Joe, is sort of unprecedented. This is, of course, their 3rd finals in a row. They lost 1, they won 1, and now they're trying to win another. And Joe, I don't think anybody could have ever predicted that the state of Florida would produce these dynastic runs like they did with the Tampa Bay Lightning back in 2021, now with the Panthers here in 23, 24, and 25. In terms of recent history, I can't go back to the 90s here, honestly, Joe, because I think it's like an apples and oranges conversation. And look at those Edmonton teams that did it too with Wayne Gretzky. Okay, so that's too far back. But as far as recent history is concerned, I mean, the Panthers are winning games, but let's be fair, they're close. Like a lot of the games are close. So it's not like I mean, do you have to just win to be a dynasty? Do you have to blow teams out? People talk about the Yankees dynasty and the Chicago Bulls dynasty, and those teams just destroyed teams. But the Panthers just seem to find ways to win over time and whatever game they can.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And I don't think they have to be that blowout team. We have seen 2 games so far in this series where they have really dominated Edmonton. And you also look at the lead that they've had. Edmonton has needed those comebacks in the 3rd period, pushing games to overtime for them to be able to get the win. And I look at the Florida Panthers and the way that they play out there on the ice, it's different from any other team. They really do seem head and shoulders above. And even in their losses in this series, you look at them and they've been so competitive in those games. They have allowed Edmonton to come back. And as long as they don't make those mistakes out there, this is going to be the 10th team in NHL franchise history to be able to go back-to-back as Stanley Cup champs. You mentioned the Tampa Bay Lightning in the last century. We also saw the Pittsburgh Penguins be able to get there in 2016, 2017. So we're seeing a Florida Panthers team that really is stepping up to the plate. And I do think they have every ability to run it back even next season when we look at this team. Age will catch up at some point, but right now, this team, it looks better than any other roster out there in the NHL.
And just like in other pro sports, the Panthers, I'm not going to say they sleptwalk through the season, but they did not have a fantastic regular season. They got Marchand, and all of a sudden, here they are, postseason again. So tonight, in terms of goals, I mean, the hot name, of course, Joe, surprisingly, by the way, has been Sam Bennett. I mean, he's plus money again for a goal tonight. It seems like he's scoring multiple goals in some of these games. But, you know, Draisaitl and McDavid are the shortest odds, then Bennett, Reinhart, Kachuk, and Verhaeghe. Is there anyone in particular that stands out tonight?
You know, I'm looking at the value we've got on Verhaeghe out there. His expected goals, he's getting those high danger shots, and I do think he's going to be a difference maker in this game when we're getting him between plus 220 and some books have it up to plus 250. I do think he's someone you want to hit on. He's on that top line with Barkov and Sam Reinhart, but he is on that second power play unit. Now, that second power play unit does have playmakers like Brad Marchand, who we know has been absolutely clinch here for the Florida Panthers as well. So I do think Verhaeghe is someone to look at. You got to look at Brad Marchand as well, opening up the scoring in the last game, as well as opening up that 3rd period. 2 goals for him. He's been so strong in the playoffs, 10 goals thus far. And then you said it, Sam Bennett, he just seems to get on the board each and every single game. Sam Reinhart's playing hot right now for Florida. And then there's also Matthew Tkachuk. Matthew Tkachuk, we know, really does lead this team out there. And while he hasn't got as many goals, I can see in a clutch game like this, Matthew Tkachuk coming through. So I don't think you can go wrong with anyone over there for the Florida Panthers. But when we look at the Edmonton Oilers, I just don't find the value there. Connor McDavid only one goal in this series. And if Edmonton is able to extend it, it's because we do see a huge game out of Connor McDavid. But even looking at him for 2+ points is -104. It's really hard to find value in that. His anytime goal at that +160. Yes, Leon Draisaitl has been clutch, but these lines have been moving so much. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins didn't practice with the team. He's going to be on the ice tonight. He's not at 100%, but he is on that top line. And Corey Perry has been brought back up to that top line when he was on the second line in the last game. So you got to feel for Edmonton. The lines are shifting way too much. I don't think they have what it takes tonight, but don't look at Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, in my opinion, because you're not getting the value. I would look at someone like Corey Perry. I'd look at Jeff Skinner down on that third line. Somewhere you're going to get more value.
All right, Joe. Before we wrap it up here, I think let's focus on Florida here for a minute because things will get wild in terms of Conn Smythe if this does go to a Game 7. But let's focus on Game 6. If the Panthers do win tonight, is there any possibility that, I know South Florida fans are saying they should give the Conn Smythe to two guys this year with the way that Marchand has played. Is there any chance he can win this tonight with a better game than Bennett?
Oh, absolutely. If he comes out with a better game than Sam Bennett here, I do think Brad Marchand can get it. Now, Sam Bennett, you've missed his numbers. He's -160 right now. Looking at Brad, he's coming in at +410. I do think it is worth a sprinkle on him. He needs to open up that scoring, close it out tonight, and he gets it.
All right, Joe. We'll see if we catch up later in the week for a Game 7. If not, thanks again for coming on this week. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
All right, we'll wrap it all up next. Don't go away.
Their team totals 19.5 wins. I told you to go under, and it's by far the best bet I have recommended on this network in 4 years. They can't get out of their own way. And now Sloot is out for the year. Let's hope Sloot gets back because I respect the hell out of Sloot, and I want her to go out on her own terms. Hopefully we'll have her back for the 26th season.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
I got a feeling Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back to NewsWire here on SportsGrid. By the way, the scheduling is kind of crazy here for the NBA and the NHL. So NBA Finals Game 6, by the way, is coming up on Thursday night. Or, excuse me, yes, Thursday night. So Oklahoma City can close out Thursday. And if Edmonton somehow pulls off the upset, which I'm not rooting for, but if they do tonight, then the Stanley Cup Finals Game 7 will be Friday night in Edmonton. So that is the upcoming stretched out schedule for both sports. By the way, college football coming soon as well. One of the best quarterbacks in the country, one of the favorites to win the Heisman Trophy Award, is making news. Let's tell you about it in Last Licks. Coming down the stretch at the end of the last college football season, we saw performances from that guy right there, Lenore Sellers, basically show that going into this upcoming college football season, he's going to be one of the best in the country. There is no question about it. And South Carolina, one of the favorites to come out of the SEC East. So Sellers, coming off a great year, is back again at South Carolina for what will be his final year there. That's clear. Now, interesting story here. His dad basically told reporters and makes the claim here, but they're trying to make this stuff public, but you can't in NILs. That's the goal, is to find out exactly what the real offers are. I don't know that you do that in NFL free agency, so why would you do it in college football? His dad says his son was offered $8 million in NIL money for 2 years to leave South Carolina. Think about that. $4 million up front to go to Clemson, but he said, quote, "I didn't raise my children to play for just the money." That's a lot of money for a college kid to get in NIL deals. Now, is it worth it for Sellers? Probably so. I mean, you look at the Heisman odds, he's in the top 3 pretty much everywhere going into the season, and he was so good last year. That would also put him at the rival school in South Carolina, in Clemson. We're going to have to follow this to see if this indeed is actually true. I would say this. There is some legislation for some reason that they want the NIL offers to be made public. I don't know what would be the difference from making college, because they're a state university. Is that why they think that we're owed that in some way? I don't understand why that would be the case at all. But needless to say, if it ends up happening, we'll find out exactly how much college players are offered. I don't know why we would ever do that. Okay, the Blitz Champs 4 champion has been decided. Your question to me, Craig, what is the Blitz Champs 4? Well, it is a fast-moving game of chess. You've seen these before. People playing chess at high speeds. Like, you can't sit back, like, do this, and then, you hit the timer, you wait a minute or two. No, this is fast chess. And the winner in the NFL's Fast Chess contest, I don't think it's sponsored by the NFL, but football players are in it, is Justin Reed of the New Orleans Saints. In fact, he's the first ever back-to-back Blitz Champs champion, and he made $30,000 for his charity. And by the way, the person that he beat at this high-speed chess was the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals in Kyler Murray. So congratulations to Reed, who makes $30,000 toward his charity, whatever that is. Congratulations to him. I do play chess myself, but I could not play that version of fast chess. There's no chance I'd get killed. Okay, here's something else I would get crushed at. Competitive eating. Joey Chestnut is back. Made the announcement yesterday on July 4th. We're going to see him at Coney Island. Oh my gosh, do we really have to show those pictures? At the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. That's July 4th. Joey Chestnut is back. You may remember last year he had a partnership with some vegan company and decided to not be in the contest. I could not tell you who won it. All I know is that Joey Chestnut went up against that guy Kobayashi for many years. And while Kobayashi was winning, all of a sudden, Joey Chestnut took over. But good news, folks. We will celebrate our national holiday here. Do we have a show, by the way, on July 4th? What day is July 4th this year? July 4th. Oh, it is a Friday. We will not be on the show. Okay, all right, that's fine. So we'll celebrate it on Monday. But we've got Joey Chestnut back in action, eating hot dogs. One of our producers, Joe Frieso, he thinks he could eat 10 in how many minutes? 10 in 10 minutes? Is that what he said? Oh, he said he could dunk a basketball, right? Yeah, So what? But Frank, 1 out of 2 things can be true. I mean, we know he cannot dunk a basketball. I mean, that's definitely not the case. But no, I'm not going to rule 10 hot dogs in 10 minutes. That's not that much. I think he could do that. I think he could pull that. We only have 20 seconds left in the show. Is that true? Oh, sorry. Thanks to all of our guests who came on the show. Joe, Adam Kaufman, Gilbert, Chris. Thanks to Luke and Frank. I'll see you back here tomorrow. I will not eat 1 hot dog tonight at tomorrow. None.